All right, welcome to everybody out there tonight. I got to get the level set here. Okay, just wanted to say hello to everybody out there. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, I believe. I forgot what day it was. It's 8 o'clock p.m., and it's time for Amateur Radio Roundtable. This webcast is on every Tuesday night, and we would appreciate it if you could help spread the word to all your friends out there. This program is also being simulcast on a shortwave radio station, and I think we're on 5085 kilohertz tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Ted Randall's with us, and he can let us know that in a few minutes if there's a change on the frequency. But we should have shortwave listeners tuning in from a number of countries around the world tonight. Because we're on a shortwave broadcast, we're going to start trying to include segments about shortwave listening. So if any of you shortwave listeners out there have any ideas, send us an email and tell us what you'd like to hear about shortwave, and we'll try to bring it to you. We'd like to invite every listener to join the webcast at W5KUB.com if you can. So if you're near a PC, go to W5KUB.com and you'll see the video and all our guests tonight. You can also log into the chat room and talk directly to us. Just put your name in there. You don't need a password tonight. And just click the sign-in button. We'd love to hear from you. Give us your location and a signal report. Tonight we've got a great lineup, and each one of you can join in on the live video webcast in the last part of the show if you have a camera and a Google Plus account. Later in the show, we will provide a link that you can click on that will allow any of you to come on the webcast, and all your friends watching this webcast will actually see you on the show. So click and come in and join us. Just say hello or sit around and listen if you want to. That's the roundtable part. The lineup tonight includes Gino Calistini, KG7POU in Sparks, Nevada, and he's going to be sharing with us a new ham radio site that gives assistance to hams to obtain their licenses. And with Gino is Mick, W7MCK tonight. After that, Michael Kalter W8CI from Dayton, Ohio, a spokesperson for the hamvention, is going to join us. But he's going to be talking about some earthquake relief efforts that are going on in Nepal. We were going to have a special show tonight, last minute change, and bring you live feeds from people in India and Nepal, but we're rescheduling that for next Tuesday. So tune in next Tuesday, and hopefully we'll have people on site working the health and welfare and communications from Nepal. And then last we'll have Joe Eisenberg K0NEB from Lincoln, Nebraska on here. Joe is a kit builder and editor in CQ Magazine, and I know many of you know who Joe is and have seen him. Ted Randall, WB8PUM, is our co-host on the show. He's joining us from Lebanon, Tennessee. So Ted, are you there? Are you still busy flipping switches?
No, I'm here. I just been sitting here listening, and glad to be here, and looking forward to listening and watching.
Okay,
5085.
So no change back to no change later, right? And are we is this kind of a frequency that's going to be used all summer, or is FCC going to change it back later, maybe?
As far as I know, this is it for all summer, but you never know. It's shortwave radio, and there's a lot of international agreements that have to be honored. And you never know when something's going to change, so you just kind of have to roll with it.
Oh, okay. Well, great. And we really appreciate you being on here and co-hosting with us and getting us on the radio there. And Ted, one day we want to come do a live show, or at least record the video and show everybody out there in the world what these transmitters and this station looks like.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, matter of fact, I would say that anybody that comes into the Nashville area, if they contact us ahead of time, if we can work it in, we love to give tours. So if you've never seen an international shortwave broadcast facility, it's quite an experience for those who have never seen one. Of course, if you have seen one, it's still fun to see another one. So on 99.30 after 7 p.m. So at 7 p.m. we go to 58.30, and of course 8 o'clock is an hour after 7 p.m. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Come along, and they try to suck all that power up into their spaceships, and they'll read your minds. Yeah.
Well, we don't want them sucking that power out because we need it all to go out on the antenna tonight. Hey, already. Hey,
other hand, you don't have to put the tinfoil over your head if you don't really have a mind. If you're like I am, you don't need the tinfoil.
Well, there's a shortwave listener in here tonight that's joined us the last few nights, and he said hello to you. So I think he's been listening to you there. So let's jump into the program here, and let's go out to Sparks, Nevada, and we want to talk to Gino K0NEB. I hope I pronounced that right. KG7POU. Gino is a fairly new ham who had trouble finding Elmers to help him when he was starting to get his license. He just didn't know anybody. And because of this, Gino and some other people have started a 24-hour a day Elmering program to help hams get in the hobby. His site runs a lot of amateur radio videos. They do a lot of their own videos. They discuss technology products. Study materials also provided to those wanting to get their license, and they can help hook you up with an Elmer. So let's see. And their website is amateurradioclub.net, amateurradio.net. And Gino's done several interviews with people. We're going to have a short video from him tonight. So let me see if I can flip over and get Gino on here. There they are. Let's see.
Hello.
Gino, how you doing?
Great. How you doing, sir?
Okay. So, Gino, hey, man, you got a good story here. It's very interesting that a new ham like you is doing all this work for ham radios now. So tell us kind of why you started the amateurradioclub.net again.
Yeah, how you doing, everybody? My name's Louis Gino K0NEB. I'm KG7POU, and we're located here in Sparks, Nevada. This is the Amateur Radio Club headquarters here out in Sparks, and this is one of my Elmers, actually, is W7MCK, Mike Pizzuto, and he's here to join me tonight. But yeah, we pretty much take great pride in what we do here, and we're just here to help anybody that needs any kind of Elmering, or if you need a book or anything like that, let us know. We're here 24 hours a day, and like he said, like Tom was saying, it was hard for me to find an Elmer, and so I ended up making the show here, and the show is pretty much blown up into something very useful and very helpful for the ham radio community. And we have our nvcon.org convention coming up here in Reno, Nevada, and I'm going to have a booth, a really nice booth. We'll be giving away over 1,000 coffee mugs and hopefully spreading the word about Elmering. And just so you know that we're here, we have a 24-hour hotline that anybody can call, and that's 775-800-1266. But yeah, like we said, we're here to help anybody, and Mick can probably explain a little bit more too if you want.
Yeah, so basically we get on, and us Elmers all talk, and then anybody can come on and listen to our conversation about antennas, radios, of course, and amplifiers, and what kind would be the best for my situation, and it's really great. And people just listening in can learn a lot, and that's why we're here. But we love the hobby so much, and we want to get people in it so badly that we're willing to do this 24 hours, and we'd love everybody to be in. So it's a really great thing that we got going.
Well,
It sure is.
I know you guys you spend a lot of your own money. I know that you're looking for anyone that might want to donate or help out, and you actually give ARRL study material to new hams, don't you?
Yeah, anybody that can't afford a book out there, you can go to our website. It's amateurradioclub.net. There's a contacts tab up there, and if you send me your information and let me know that it's all discreet, so nobody will know or anything for you as well. So you just send me a message, let me know that you can't afford a technician manual, and I'll box it up and send it to you. I have a few little sponsors. There's a lot more than I can list right now, but they do help out with new ham packs, stickers and band plans and other things I try to throw together. We do, and as for spending our own money, yeah, everything comes out of my pocket 100%. And we have a lot of people here that volunteer their time and stuff. There's all kinds of Elmers and people that really care about this community that come into our show every single day, and they put forth a lot. And we also have some Elmers we're actually flying in, so we can have them at the booth so people can meet them live and help share their stories of why they want to be an Elmer and why they love ham radio so much.
Somebody into your own hobby. I mean, that's what I love about it, and that's what we love at amateurradioclub.net.
Listeners, that's the people that are ripe for wanting to get their license. And then you guys have created a group here now that helps hook them up with Elmers. And you know, a lot of these little towns, like where I grew up, I got my ham license at 16. There was not another ham around. And when you're 16 and no other ham around, you're all on your own. So the service that you guys are starting to provide now at amateurradioclub.net is great by hooking people up with Elmers and helping them get material if they can't afford it.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And it's just, like, you know, you talked about the small town there, and that's where I came from. I came from a small town called Fallon, Nevada, and there wasn't even any ham radio operators there. So, you know, I read a lot of QST magazines. My parents wouldn't let me have the opportunity to do it. I think money was an issue or whatever. But about a year and a half ago, I fell upon a $30 Baofeng radio, and I got a little Yacht Boy 400 shortwave radio, and then that was it. It just kind of started the fire, and I just had a hard time actually finding someone to help me. And so I just, like I said, I just decided to start the show, and now we have a lot of people. You know, AF7LT out there in chat. He's one of the guys who'll be flying in. His name's Chris Ferens from Washington. We got KD7MAZ, KD7LTN, N6CY Jason Boyer. He's also one of the employers for Ham Radio out there, Ham Radio Deluxe, the program. We got W7MCK here. M6YRU, his name's Ian. He's from the UK. And we also have GOJVK. His name's Rob Cook, and he's also from the UK. And two more left. One of our special ones is KD9CRQ. He's our youngest member as an Elmer. He's 14 years old, and he really comes up with some really awesome antenna designs and stuff. And you have myself as well. And we also have a Facebook page you can follow. It's just Amateur Radio Club, and you can follow it on Facebook if you guys want. So. Okay,
great. Well, I'm gonna join that. Hey, you just recently went to the National Association of Broadcasters and also the DX convention out there. And we've got a little video that you did, and I think it's a very good quality video. I want to run that here. And folks, the video that you're going to see that Gino and Mick have for us tonight is on K0NEB. K0NEB, am I pronouncing it right, Gino?
K0NEB. K0NEB, the owner of K0NEB there at the Visalia DX convention in California.
And guys, what that is, you've probably seen these monitors like on the wall that shows the dark and the sunlight, you know, on the world map and how it moves. These are the guys that invented the first one. This is all mechanical, and he's going to explain it. You can get this same thing on a program on a computer, but you have to run a computer. But this is a neat deal here. They're the ones that invented this. We want to run this video real quick. It's probably about 7 or 8 minutes, and then we'll be back with you right after we run it. So this is K0NEB.
All right, this is KG7POU here with AmateurRadioClub.net, and we're going to do another live interview with Patrick Bolin, the owner here at K0NEB. So go ahead, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, so the K0NEB, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the only way to know where the gray line was by looking at a K0NEB. It's the only, and still the only, geographic chronometer that's ever been made, and it's entirely mechanical. Now these days you can get that online, but there are some people, for the ultimate thing in their shack, they want a machine that does that. That's what the K0NEB has been for the last 50 years. So we've got, I'll just demonstrate how it works.
Yeah, sure.
This looks like a static picture, but actually it's moving in very slow motion forward 1 inch an hour. And you can see the gray line here. And I'll set this back to where it is. But then over the year, the gray line spins on machinery. Like so. Up and down it goes, along with the analemma in the sky, the sun being 23.4 degrees off of its axis at high noon in December, and then coming back up to my equinox, and it's set by the date down here. Coming into April, oh, I just missed it, and now we're on May 2nd. And nice. So if you came back tonight and you looked at it, then Asia would be over here. So the thing that's unique about the K0NEB is that it's composed of 300 moving parts. It's one big machinery, which is why it's 30 pounds.
Whoa.
But for guys who have been doing the ham radios for a long time, they've got one on their wall because this was the only way to know. And it's still an awesome gift, and it's an awesome thing to put in your shack. Actually, mine, I have one in the shack, but I also have one in the living room because people want to talk about it all the time. it's cool to see.
Yeah, it's definitely definitely a great piece of history. I've seen them. I click a lot of the older QST magazines.
Sure.
So I see a lot of the older ads in there for them and stuff. It's
That's
just
right.
a really neat piece of machinery. It is.
Yeah.
Kenwood TS2000 back here, Hamrio Deluxe, and that's good to go. It's treating me well. Part of the contact is Japan, so I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying everything about the hobby. I get on some D-Star, made some Go Box, do some Raspberry Pi work over here. We cover everything. Even the new DMR radios, we have those out here in our area, and we just have a good time.
Well, Gino, your audio went down there. I had to crank it way up. Let Mick say something in the other mic there. Mick, can you hear us?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh yeah, it was really interesting putting because he's in an HOA situation, putting that 20-meter dipole up in his attic. And actually, the first contact we made was Cuba, and then after that, we hit Japan. I mean, and we like to tell a lot of these people that come on the site, hey, I live in an HOA. What can I do? Can I work with a small antenna? Can I do something that is kind of a low profile thing or whatever questions they may ask, and we try to help them out with that too. So, because we both live in that kind of a situation, but you don't. It's nice to have a big beam, of course, but you don't have to. And a lot of people think that that's what you need to get out. But that's another reason that we're here. We let them know that you can still have fun in hammer.
All wire antennas myself here. I took my tower down about 10 years ago when I moved. Didn't put it back up. I can work any country I want to. So that antenna is actually in the attic, I think, there. So it's doing pretty good.
Yeah, sure. I have attic and stuff. It grounds out. My RFI is beautiful. It's just amazing. I can't believe how well the install went. And, it's just a really good thing,
All right. Well, hey, real quick, Gino, at the NAB, you picked up a little shortwave receiver. Let's look at that shortwave receiver and talk about it in a minute, and then.
Yeah, we sure can.
Go ahead.
This shortwave receiver is by CountyCom, and it's a company out of the United States here. But anyway, it's a GP5 SSB, which is a single sideband radio. It can monitor anything really from 2300 all the way to 30,000 kilohertz. Shortwave 520 to 1710 kilohertz. It's a cheaper radio. It only runs you about $70 retail. I think it's about $79 on their site, but you can find some other deals out there for about $69, $70 around there. But I've got some pretty good contacts. I've listened to some stuff out in Australia in the middle of the night on here. I've listened to stuff from all over. I mean, it's easy to program, easy to store stuff, easy to move around. It's a great little, great little handheld shortwave radio, for traveling. It does AM, FM, over 1,000 storage places you can put stuff in. And but for the money, you can't beat it for shortwave if you want to get involved. It comes with a 20-foot just an antenna that clips on here, and you just run it by the window, and bam, you're out on shortwave, hitting everything. So
well, that may be something some of our shortwave listeners want to check into there. That's a neat little portable shortwave radio there for sure.
Yeah, it's the GP5 by CountyCom, and I'll show you guys a quick little shot of it there. There you go. There's there it is. There's the other antenna. It comes with the AM antenna, and it's just CountyCom sells them, and they're a great little deal for what you get.
All right, well, Gino and Mick, we've got to go to the next segment. We're running just a little late. We got a lot going here tonight. I hope you were able to tune in and watch the rest of the program. We really appreciate all you're doing to promote ham radio. And
thank you, sir.
We sent out our mailing list last night. We had your website on it, and we're seeing that a lot of people are clicking on your link and going to your website, which is amateurradioclub.net. So
amateurradioclub.net, and then we're also going to be live here at the NVCon.org, which is the Nevada State Convention here, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and we got AF7LT Chris there in chat flying in from Washington, and a couple other of our elements will be there. So we're going to do a live show from the booth, so we hope you guys will come and join us and stuff. And
okay, well, real good. And I saw a note. I saw a note in the chat room. Your audio is acting up. It did that before we got on here. I think everybody understood everything. But hey, but when we get you on a show next time, maybe we'll have some time to test and get that cleared up beforehand. Mick sounded better than your mic, so I don't know if it's different level adjustments or what's going on, but.
They're just kind of overloading the microphones. They're real clipped
and
distorted, and it's just too much audio in a small space.
Yeah, it probably is.
Volume needs to come down a little bit. There's nothing wrong with working the mic close, but the level needs to come down because it's clipped.
Yeah, it really was. We noticed it before the show, and then we thought it got better, but it got a little worse during the show.
We'll get it next time, you guys. We have other mics and stuff here. We just went with this wireless thing to give it a shot. So next time we'll get these things hooked up on some stands over here, and you guys can hear us a little bit more.
Well, I think that sounded much better, don't you, Ted?
Yeah, well, that cleared it right up.
Oh, yeah, and Gino, just talk a little. You can talk a little closer to the mic now.
There we go.
Okay, hopefully we're good now. So I do apologize, guys, that we'll get ironed out for next time.
That's okay, not a problem, man. That's why we call this amateur radio. We're all amateurs on here, and I tell you, most of the time, mistakes are on my end here.
Hey, and don't be afraid to get on air. If you're a new technician out there, get on the air. Don't be scared. If you got questions, come by chat, hang out with us. You can call me on the phone if you want me to walk you through it. But we're here for you, so please come over to amateurradioclub.net, and I do appreciate your time, Tom, and we do thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
73.
Thank you.
73, guys.
Thank you. And Ted, if you will, why don't you go ahead and pick it up, Ted? Maybe talk about QSO radio show or something while I try to get our next guest on here.
Yeah, well,
if I can figure out how to work this.
The thing we do on Saturdays at 1 o'clock is called the QSO radio show. We've been doing it about 8 or 9 years now, maybe longer. I don't know. I can't remember. But it airs again on Saturday night at about 7 p.m. on 5085. So it runs on Saturday at 1 p.m. on 9475. And then it airs again on Saturday nights at 7 o'clock. Been doing it for a long time. And then, of course, we do the live broadcasting. QSO always broadcasts live on Field Day. And we have everybody calling in, telling us what they're doing on Field Day. And the ones that seem to be, I guess I want to say, the ones that are sharing all the interesting information are the chefs, the people who are, or at least not the chef, but what the chef is cooking, what's being served on Field Day becomes a very, very important item. And, of course, we've come to the conclusion over the years that Field Day becomes animal sacrifice because the poor pig seems to be the one that suffers the most. A lot of barbecue going out on Field Day at different locations all over the country. So it looks like I'm seeing the face of Michael Kalter on the screen here.
You are. Michael's with us. Michael, hello.
Hello. I think that's Ted, right?
That is Ted, yeah.
That's Ted and Tom.
Yeah.
Let's see how I can do this.
Yeah, well, I know, Tom.
Look at there. I can get, I think I'll just put both of you guys on here now. Oh, let me see here. Boy, I'm going to do some fancy stuff here. There we go. Boy, I got you on there split screen with Ted right now. I don't know why Ted won't buy a camera.
I've got a face.
Really, he's probably got
a face for radio. That's the problem, yeah.
Well, hey, Michael, we weren't scheduled to have you on here tonight, and then we were. Different things have kind of happened today. We were going to change the whole show tonight to talk about the earthquake activity and the things going on with ham radio in Nepal. We decided after talking with Beretti, VU2RBI, that we're going to try to do the show next Tuesday. And what we're going to do, we're going to bring in some of the people from the Nepal end and have them on the show. So that's probably better. They're really busy right now. I know one guy that's sitting up there, he's trying to run one station on solar power. So they're really in a bind right now. So by next week, we're going to connect with them. But you've been working very closely with them. Give us a little update on what's going on, what you guys are doing, and what we expect on our program next week.
Well, first off, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. And I won't be very long on here because people get worn out listening to me talk. Anyway, we've been working. I originally got on the emergency net on 20 meters, and they were wanting to make some contacts into India. And I said, I've been there. I know these people. I can get hold of them real quick. We can talk. So, really good friends of mine are. They run the National Institute of Amateur Radio. Mr. Surrey VU2MY, and Ram Mohan, VU2MYH, and he's actually the director now. Mr. Suri's sort of emeritus. And anyway, they formed a group, and they have been doing, jumping through hoops to get from India with a whole bunch of equipment up into Nepal. And it's been reported, and I've seen that they can't operate, but they can. They've got permission now. I've seen the certificates where they are operating, and they are helping. They're working with that Satish. They're in contact with him. I have sent along information to them of missing persons and pictures, and I get word back that it is being, they appreciate that, and they are doing what they can. So what we want to do is next week we'll have Bharathi on, and Bharathi's been in constant contact. For those of you who don't know Bharathi, she's a world-renowned DXer, Victor Uniform 2, RBI. And she happens to be in Chicago, but it's not stopping her from doing a lot of coordination and contacting India, basically through the Echo link. And she will be on next week. And our plan is to have Mr. Mohan on, VU2MYH, and some of his team. And maybe we can get Mr. Suri as well, or some of the folks that are actually being a liaison into Hyderabad. I do want to mention really quickly, just sending things, the radios and equipment. We've had a huge outpouring in the world, and I know in the United States. Tim Duffy called me this morning. He got a much-needed shipment off, and the way we're shipping things right now is as needed, and we're going through the ARRL, and Mike Corey with the ARRL is the Emergency Preparedness Officer. And really about the only way to get things in, unless you've got a special customs pass already and you're doing business with Nepal, is to go through the ARRL, and they've made connections with USAID. And so that's the way things are getting shipped right now. We had originally thought about shipping things straight into Hyderabad, and as Indians send more people to carry it in, but that's a little bit too lengthy. So I heard good things about, they are on the air and making things happen. I will tell you, the Amphenol company has stepped right up. I was on the radio, and a gentleman called me on the radio, and he said, "Hey, let me give you a call. I'm with Amphenol. We want to help." And they have a factory in India, and they are getting things prepared in India. And when we send equipment, we have to send equipment that works, maybe even pre-programmed, because if we just send old radios, they can't. They have to work, and they have to be able to charge on their 250 volt 50 cycle circuits. But I know that next week should be a really exciting week or a meeting. Go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything. Go ahead. Ted, did you have a question?
Okay.
No, I was just listening to Michael talk there, and I kind of thought you guys were talking back and forth, so I didn't want to interrupt.
No, it's okay. So Mike is telling us about the trouble that they have, and it's a real logistical nightmare, I guess, to get this equipment that they need down there to them. Michael, even if you fly it in there, it doesn't go straight to the disaster site, does it? It probably goes into India or somewhere.
No. Right now, they brought quite a bit of equipment with them. I think there's 4 or 5 operators. Mm-hmm. And next week we're going to try to have some of them on, the operators that from India that are in Nepal right now. You had to hand carry everything, and so we're all like jumping and saying, "Hey, we got to get them more stuff. We need to get this and this and this." And of course they're saying, "Wait a minute now! Don't send us stuff that's so heavy we can't use it. Send us usable, workable stuff, because we don't have time to be doing a lot of fixing. We can't have heavy things." And I don't even think that they've begun to get out to some of the outlying villages to set up communication. And my guess is that they'll probably set up 80-meter dipole, but I don't know for sure. but they had to arrange space on a military flight. That's the only way you could get in to Nepal, and they got all the approvals. I mean, poor Ram, VU2 I don't know that he slept for days. I mean, he was calling me, and it was 2:30 in the morning there, and he was still working hard at getting things done. So we expect to. He should be able to establish a Skype link by that time. I know talking to Barathi, and I will tell you, Barathi's been tremendous help at this as well, because there's a lot of coordination that needs to take place in different countries to make this happen. ARRL has really stepped up to it. There's been a net on 14205 and 14215. I don't think they're working it any longer, but initially, I know that they got a lot of criticism, but there were a lot of things that happened behind the scenes, just from information and being able to discuss logistics, being able to figure out who can do what. And I know it starts out a little bit of confusing at first, but it moved into being a really a worthwhile net, in my opinion. And the people on that net worked so hard to really respond to the folks in Nepal.
Yeah, well, I can hear them on here in the evening time sometimes. They're on multiple frequencies, and we'll announce those frequencies probably toward the end of the show. We ask that they keep those frequencies clear. But it's amazing how I've looked at pictures and video coming from there. This place is, it's totally destroyed. I don't know how they're even setting a ham radio station up, and I think you mentioned earlier they were using, or maybe Barathi mentioned, they were on solar power, so they're running probably low power. But that's one of the main ways of getting information out of there. It's ham radio is really doing a job. This is what it's meant for.
Yeah, it really is, and I don't know Satish, but boy, that guy is, as far as I know, he was just about the only radio voice out of Nepal for a while. And yes, he was working on solar power. And then if they've been having a rain, and when it rains there, and you can't get things charged up, and you don't hear from them. But I have not personally talked to him, and I want to make it clear that I have just been basically a go-between, a liaison. This person needs something, and I'll go talk to that person, and sort of been a little bit of a coordinator, but just a small cog, just a small little guy here trying to help out. The yeoman's work has been done really by the folks in India that actually got there, and once they get there, hard telling how long they'll be there, how easy it will be to get out of there. But anyway, next week, I'm really looking forward to that. Barathi will have a lot to say, and I did talk, like I said, talked to Mr. Suri today in Hyderabad, India, and he is really excited that the team is working over there now and doing well in Nepal. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, well, I appreciate the update tonight. We'll have much more detailed information next week on here. In fact, much of the show probably will be dedicated just to the Nepal earthquake, the ham radio coverage there. Are we going to also talk about hamvention next week, maybe? Or is there anything to talk about tonight, or are we going to add that in next week? Either one.
I think we'll do a little bit of that next week.
Okay.
Barathi's will be there as well. I mean, she's pretty familiar with hamvention, and I want to congratulate you on your recognition, Tom. That's a nice award. So good.
Well.
And Ted.
Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead.
I was going to say thank you very much. We haven't talked much about it. In fact, probably most of our viewers here don't even know about it. So,
I'd like to, just before we jump the gun here, I was going to say, for all of our shortwave listeners and shortwave or hams that are listening on shortwave, because this station's got a tremendous amount of coverage on Saturday and Sunday nights. We hear from all over the globe. But if there's hams that are on now that would like to either monitor or somehow help out, Michael, where would be the best place for them to check in and go, and who would be the best people for them to talk to?
Well, you can go to my QRZ site and give me the question. My email is on a QRZ site, and I will pass it on. I mean, we've gotten let's say information about missing people, and even got coordinates, latitude and longitude where they're at, but nobody's been able to get to them or find them yet. So, I mean, they're in fairly remote areas. That's one part of it, and then in the volunteering equipment, I wouldn't necessarily just send a bunch of stuff yet, because once it goes over, that's it. It won't come back. I think the best thing for equipment is even to contact the ARRL and Mike Corey. He's very helpful, and I'm really glad they have that set up with USAID. But, I don't know everything. I don't know all the answers, but I will take the time to get those questions to the right people.
All right. Well, I was just thinking there may be folks sitting there listening thinking, how can I be part of this, or how can I help, or how can I use my station or my talents to help? So with that in mind, it would be a good thing for them to have a place to go.
Well, Ted, if they want to listen in and see what's going on, the frequencies are plus or minus a little bit, but on 14.310, at 14.210, and at 7,100 is the information I have. I heard them on 14.205 a day or two ago, and they're on multiple frequencies. I'm sure when they have traffic, they'll probably QSY and start up another frequency. So if you listen on those frequencies there, guys, you'll probably hear a lot of what's going on in the efforts that the ham radio community is making. Well,
hey, I appreciate you inviting me to come on, and I think next week will be really exciting. And Ted, as always, it's a pleasure to hear you on, and we all certainly appreciate your program as well.
Well, what we're doing is kind of combining forces, putting the audio from this on WTWW, which is heard around the world, literally by millions of people. So it kind of shows off what ham radio is and just what kind of crazy people get on ham radio and talk, and why it's so much fun.
Ted came to me and begged to get on the show here because, see, we have 39 viewers, and Ted only has 1 million listeners out there.
Well, it all goes together. Let's put it that way.
So look, when you combine those, we've got 1,039 people on here. Okay, Michael, thank you very much for coming on, and we'll see you next week, okay?
Okay, and Ted, for everybody listening, what are those frequencies again on the shortwave?
I've got 14.310. Oh, you mean the shortwave frequency. Go ahead, Ted, give them the shortwave frequencies.
Okay, well, QSO airs on Saturday. That's on 9475, and that's at 1 p.m. Central Time. It airs again on Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central, and that's on 5085. And then on Tuesdays, when we're on here with Tom, we're also on 5085, and that starts at 8 p.m. Central. So I hope that helps.
So you're live right now, huh? Great. Yeah, I want to make sure that
you're live right now. I said you are live right now.
But what I want to do is be sure that all the people throughout the world, that India hears this, and our friends that have been working hard at this. I mean, we've had people from all over the world really step up and help, and it's really been a great thing. Anyway, you guys have more to do. Thank you for inviting me to come on, and looking forward to next Tuesday.
All right, Michael Kalter W8CI. Michael's also the hamvention spokesperson, and we'll talk a little about that next week also. 73, Michael. We'll see you later.
73s, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, so let's see what we can do now. Ted, I'm going to try to go ahead and get our next guest on here. So why don't you give a commercial or something?
Oh, what kind of commercial
Well,
do you want me to give here?
Sing a song, man. Do something, you know?
No, that's one thing I don't do. I don't sing and I don't dance. And I have a face for radio. So that's how all that works out. And so you're a brave man. You put your face right in that camera. And that's something I can't do. You know, we'd scare everyone. Anyone that has a television screen up watching this, they'd be going for the hills or something, trying to get out of sight. I'll tell you what is cool though, and that's if everybody's listening, get up on eBay and start looking on shortwave radios. There's this new Texan radio out that's got, I don't know, it's a little bitty shortwave that looks like they're going for around somewhere between $40 and $60, and I hear really cool reports from these things. So everybody ought to have 2 or 3 shortwave radios. I think you just can't have too many shortwaves in the house. I see somebody up on the screen here, Tom.
So we've got K0NEB on here. Hello, Joe. How you doing?
All right. How are you?
Let me get you. Let me get your video on here, man. Let's get you on the show. There you go. Let me try something here. Let's see. Well, I'm trying to figure out what picture to pick here. I'm just going to go full screen with you right now.
Because I can't see anything coming from you.
I know you can't, and that's on purpose. That way you don't know if we were actually going out or not, you know. So anyway, welcome. Let me go on down my list here. And first, I thought Ted was going to just tell everybody out there that, hey, they're listening on 5085, and he's in Lebanon, Tennessee. That city's glowing right now. 100,000 watt transmitters glowing down there right now. But that was Ted Randall, W8CI, our co-host on Amateur Radio Roundtable. So if you're listening on Roundtable, or if you're listening on shortwave, you can join us if you have a computer and internet. Go to w5kub.com. Join it there. You can see the video. You can see our guest video. You can also enter our chat room. We would love also for anybody out there to join our Facebook group. Just do a search for W5KUB in Facebook. We'd love to have you in our broadcast group. Next is Joe Eisenberg K0NEB from Lincoln, Nebraska. I've got a better picture of Joe here. Let me find it. Let me see. Boy, I've got so many things queued up in the show here. Here we go. There's Joe right there. So that's K0NEB. Probably many of you know Joe from his cat in a hat. A hat. I guess it's a cat in a hat that he wears. And I think he only wears that at Dayton. So is that hat good for anywhere or just Dayton?
Well, I wear this hat only at Dayton. The only exception to the rule was when I went to Friedrichshafen, I wore it, but generally only at Dayton. Here it is. It's all folded up and ready to go into the bag and be on the airplane with me. I fly 2 weeks from tomorrow on Wednesday morning, bright and early, from Lincoln, Nebraska, through Chicago, and then we'll make it to Dayton, and this will be in my carry-on bag to make sure it gets there. Inside it is a cable that I use on the back, and I put an antenna in the back so that I can have it hooked up. This year I might be on DMR. I'm going to bring along a DMR handheld, and I do have it already programmed for the Dayton area. So hopefully we'll make a few contacts on DMR and back to the Midwest through the Midwest Talk Group on DMR. So I don't know what exactly you're showing right now because I can't see it. So what I'm going to do, I can see what I'm sending to you, and we'll talk about a few kits here, and then we'll talk a little bit about why I do the slideshows about hamvention. First off, I think you probably have a slide for this one. I'm going to hold it up here, and then I'll let you put the slide up.
Okay, let me pull that up here. And folks, I didn't get to do all my introduction there, but Joe is did I say he was the kit building editor for CQ Magazine?
Yeah, I've been writing the kit building column for 6 years for CQ, and it doesn't seem that long. It was at Huntsville 6 years ago that I got the offer to do this, and they told me to write a couple, and we'll see how it goes, and I'm still doing it, so it must still be popular.
Yeah, you're doing good there. Okay, I found your first picture there. It's up on the screen. I think you should be able to see it through our camera.
I cannot on Skype right now. For some reason, I'm not seeing your video, but and I'm not watching the stream right now, so I have the maximum bandwidth for you.
Okay, well, this is that first picture you sent.
Okay, what that is it's called the Ranverter Pi, and the Ranverter Pi sells for $49.95. Comes from a small place in Iowa, hayseedhamfest.com, and it includes the dongle and everything, and it fits in a Raspberry Pi box. And what's neat about it is it's an SDR dongle with an up converter, and it can be controlled by software or hardware by flipping a switch on it as to if it's on HF or VHF. And it has two antenna inputs, and it outputs on USB to the computer or to a Raspberry Pi. Now, when it came out, the Raspberry Pi B was capable of taking the SDR data and putting it down the network, but not demodulating it real well. The new Raspberry Pi 2s apparently do demodulate it quite well because they have quad-core and a gig of RAM in them. So it's kind of a fun little kit. It really, when you want to put one of these together, even for a first-time builder, I don't think they'd spend more than an hour and a half assembling this thing.
Hang on, Joe. Hold that back up there again. I'm trying to find a camera shot here that I can use with you. Hang on.
Okay.
Or I think that's the best one here. Yeah. Okay, I got you. That's a good picture.
Okay, and it's kind of interesting the way it's put together, but it has another wire that connects to one of the pins on the Raspberry Pi, so that the Pi software can turn on and off a relay that's in this and switch the up converter in and out. Otherwise, you can use a manual switch that's in there, and you can switch it manually. It's quite a deal, and for $49.95, it's not a bad kit.
Well, hey, I want to know more about this next one you've got here. This looks like it's Elecraft.
Yes, it is. What you're looking at in the first picture is the beginnings of putting it together. The Elecraft KX3 is available both as a kit and pre-made. And it's a no-solder kit. You can put away your soldering iron because you're never going to need it.
So Joe, you're telling me this whole kit, you don't have to solder a single wire? This kit, all these parts, they all just interconnect?
Yeah, the Elecraft has two circuit boards in it, and then you have several different accessory boards like the filters, if you buy the options, or the auto tuner or battery charger, things like that that you can add to it. And if you go to the live camera, I'm going to hold up mine.
Let's see.
And it's got a cover on it. Now that's an accessory that I can get, and
that's just a protective covering.
Yeah, and I'll take that off, and we'll turn it on. Let me see here if I can get it to come up. And there it is. I'm going to have to turn the volume down because I have it on 5085 hooked to my long wire antenna. And I don't know if you're able to read the display or not.
Yeah.
No, but we could hear the radio station there just for a second or two. That was cool.
Yeah, this was a kit, but like I said, no screw, nothing other than a screwdriver and maybe a needle nose pliers and stuff is needed to put it together. There's a few things that need an Allen wrench, but they supply that with it. And the board comes pre-aligned, but if you have the filter, there's kind of a more complicated alignment procedure for the opposite sideband. And using their XG3 signal generator and a computer in this, it's almost like kind of a ballet between the things for about 20 minutes. You see them go back and forth. But you can see the signal strength on the 5085. It's hooked to, like I said, a long wire right now. These handles on it, that's an option. Elecraft does not sell that. These are from a place, they call it Sidekick, Side KX. And if you look at that online, it costs about $70 to get the side pieces and the cover that makes it a little easier to protect it, because really there's nothing to protect that front panel. So when I put it in my travel bag, it definitely has the cover on it. This is obviously not an inexpensive kit. The basic radio itself in kit form is $900 plus the options like the mic and so forth. But I would say of the kit radios that I've built, this by far has the best performance. In fact, it outperforms about anything I think but my ICOM 7600. It is a wonderful radio.
Beautiful radio, and it sounded good when we heard it there. Let me go to the next picture.
Okay, so that's what it sounded like, and we'll turn it off here. But it's a really, really neat radio, and it's a lot of fun. Puts out about 5 watts on CW and 10 watts on sideband.
Okay, and here's your next picture. This is the inside, I guess, of the board.
Yeah, that's the with the RF board and the control board. And then the last picture in the, that one also has the batteries, if I remember right. You can see where the 8 AA batteries go in there. You can put nickel metal hydride rechargeable batteries in there as well. And I have the charger module, which is one of the options. And then finally all put together and put on the air. Everybody says, how long did it take to put it together? And I spent a lot of time photographing it for my column in CQ that I wrote about this, but it really only takes about 3 to 3.5 hours to put together, depending on how many of the options you have. With each option, it might add another 15-20 minutes. So if you just got the basic radio, definitely under 3 hours, but I would not get the radio at least without the auto tuner, because it protects the finals and it tunes really, really quick. You just push the button and bang, it tunes your antenna. I've had no trouble with it tuning my G5 RV on just about any band. Even the bands it's not supposed to work right on, it seems to tune it. So it's a really, really cool radio. And I'm going to hold up another kit here. This is one I brought back from Germany. This is a Fifi SDR, and I just had it running on my $59 Windows 8 tablet. And this kit, believe it or not, you can assemble in 20 minutes because the surface mount board is already completed, kind of like the Elecraft, but the through-hole parts, like the connectors and so forth, are not soldered on. So it's kind of a mini kit kind of a thing. And like I said, in about 20 minutes, even a first-time builder can have it all soldered together and put on. And these are around, I think, about $160, $170, somewhere in that range. But this is an HF SDR.
And what's the frequency range of that?
That's from about, I think, 200 kilohertz all the way up to 30, 40 megahertz.
Wow.
But the bandwidth is a little narrower than the other ones that you're used to. However, it has a lot better selectivity and a lot better out-of-band filtering because it has switchable filters within it. Finally, this kit kind of took me by surprise. And you're going to be reading about this in my column probably in July, I think, in CQ. I don't have it lit up right now, and I don't have it in the box yet. That's how new this thing is. But it has an LCD display on it, and you'll see a kind of a 3-terminal strip down here. And it runs on a 9-volt battery, or from the side here, there's a 12-volt Actually, it runs anywhere from 5.5 to 15 volts. Generally, your 12-volt supply will work just fine. And what it does is when you push the button, it comes on, it tells you the voltages are okay, and it tells you about the part that's connected to 2 or 3 of those 3 terminals down there. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. My camera is not too good at macro range, but there we go. And what I'm going to do is I run 3 clip leads out of that. I just took those clip leads like you get in a bundle at Radio Shack or whatever, and I just took one of the leads off and I strip it down, and I have 3 wires that'll come out of there. And what you do, it says it's a transistor tester. Well, it's more than a transistor tester, and what's so amazing for $12 is if I hook a resistor like between pins 1 and 3 and push the button, it says, oh, there's a resistor between pins 1 and 3, and this is its exact value. If I put one of those inductors between it, like a toroid or something, between pins 2 and 1, let's say, or any 2 pins, it'll say, oh, well, there's an inductor there, and this is its value in millihenries or microhenries. You can put a capacitor in there, and it tells you that. Or you could put a transistor in, and it doesn't matter which of the 3 leads that you put the transistor in, it's going to tell you which numbered lead is the emitter base collector or drain gate source or whatever, or if it's a triac or a thyristor or a MOSFET, it's going to tell you what it is and which leads are connected to which one, which also tells you if the device is good or not. So if you've got some unmarked parts, this is just absolutely super. And like I said, this thing sells for $12. Now, yeah, you're going to have to put it in your own box, but $12, including shipping from China, you can have this kit. And it comes from a web page called Banggood, BANGGOOD.com. And they sell, I think, through like an eBay store with PayPal and what have you. But it's just amazing. I'll show you the back of the board. It's pretty simple. Was not hard to put together, but you got to be careful if this is your first time kit because you've got a lot of little connections close by. So I would suggest that a first time builder get a little help. Also because the instructions for it are not the best. They're in Chinese translated English, which can be kind of humorous at times. They don't call it soldering, it says welding, and I kind of laughed at that. But with everything you see here, $12 already mailed from China, and like I said, it took me maybe about an hour and 20 minutes to put it together. And I was able to stick random parts on it, and it told me what they are. It measures resistors, capacitors, inductors, diodes. It'll tell you if it's a diode. It'll tell you what the voltage drop is across it. It's really, really an amazing little gadget. There's also a spot on the top and on the bottom that looks like they're outlines for surface mount parts, and those are places where you can push down a surface mount part onto it and it will identify that as well. So kind of a nifty little kit. Great for identifying parts. Definitely needs to be in a box, and we'll find something appropriate for it. But for $12, you can't beat it. You can get the thing already assembled and in a box, and that costs about $35.
Hey, I might have to get me one of those. That's pretty cool. I ordered one of those Chinese CW kits, QRP kits, and like you say, it's in Chinese. The instructions aren't very written very well, so you got to kind of match the parts up with the diagram and figure it out on the board. And yeah, even mine said I needed to weld. Be careful welding all the parts in there. Well, Joe, let's move on to. I want to run a video. You do a music video each year, and we've got last year's video that I want to run.
Okay, and before you run that, I want to explain to people why I do that. I've been taking pictures at hamvention since 1975, and what I used to do is I used to lay my prints on a table, and I would get up and talk in front of my local radio club, and then after I'm done talking, they'd walk along the table and look at all my prints. Well, of course, that's the 1970s and early 80s. By the mid-80s, I was shooting on slides, and I would use a slide projector. And, of course, by the late 90s, we went into digital photography. And then we had projectors and I was able to show them. But everybody said, well, you only got a dozen or so pictures and it's kind of boring to hear you talk and only show a couple of pictures. So I came up with the idea of throwing a lot of pictures at people and setting them to music. The song that I used this last year, Sharp Dressed Man, was not what I intended to use. I had two other songs that were in mind all year long, and while driving to Branson with a friend of mine, Arnie K0NCR from Fremont, Nebraska, we heard this song over and over again along the way to Branson, and he kept telling me, why don't you make one out of this? I think it would be fun. And so we chose the theme of the early 1980s ZZ Top video with the people moving their hands and stuff, showing off their car and so forth. And we thought, well, we'll use that theme. And so with a friend of mine from Wisconsin who has the actual ZZ Top type beard in the show, we came up with Sharp Dressed Man.
All right, well, let's run it real quick. Here we go, folks. Enjoy. You're going to see the Dayton hamvention. This was last year. And we'll all be going back up there again in 2 weeks. So this will give you a little flavor of what's up here.
And I even get the pilot involved. so I kind of do a round trip from Lincoln to Dayton and back in that video. Some years I produce 2 shows, some years I produce 1. Now everybody wants to know, when I come to Dayton, what song are you going to destroy for me? And the reason that it's said to me that way is because when I do it, the song is ingrained in people's minds, and they have this image in their head of all these pictures reminding them of hamvention. So every time they hear that song on the radio, they thinking, I gotta go to Dayton again, which is kind of the idea. And so every year we come up with a new song or 2 to use for it, and this year is going to be The Boys Are Back in Town. So if you guys know that song, The Boys Are Back in Town, that's the one.
Well, we're going to be looking forward to seeing you up there again this year. This will be our 35th year. It's probably at least your 40th year, isn't it, Joe?
36.
36,
36.
Okay. And so we'll see you again up there. Always a pleasure to see you. Be sure and come by our booth and talk with us. Drop by there and see Ted. QSO Radio is going to be set up.
Yes, I've interviewed with Tom a few times, both there and at Huntsville. It's always a pleasure to be on with Ted and with you.
Okay, and just very quickly, man, you make more hamfests than anybody I know of. I don't see how you do it. Do you have a job? That's my first question.
My real job, a lot of people say, what does he do besides build kits and ride for CQ, which is just a hobby, of course. My real world job is I'm an IT field technician, and primarily I fix broken printers. It sounds funny, but that's what I do. Broken printers, ranging from tiny little thermal barcode printers and inkjets all the way up to giant continuous feed laser printers that are used in high-speed billing applications. So it's about any kind of printer, but I also fix hardware in networks and servers, and even solder a few power jacks on laptop boards.
So how many hamfests do you think you go to per year? You go to a lot.
I'm guessing 15 to 18 or so.
That's a lot of hamfests, and you travel long distances to go to them. What's the furthest distance you go?
Was Friedrichshafen last year. Was the farthest one I've been to. Primarily during the year, I think the farthest I've gone this year is Houston and Orlando.
Okay. Well, Joe, it's been great having you on here tonight. There's been a lot of comments. I saw you were actually commenting in the chat room there. So, hey, Ted, how do you like that song? Does that sound like a good song that you need to be playing on shortwave?
Well, we were doing oldies. I was playing that song already, but now we've gone country now, so that wouldn't fit. Well,
we'll have to wait till that's country.
Now, unless Joe can overdub a steel guitar into it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
That sounds good, Tom. And it's always good to speak with you live on shortwave.
All right.
We have a lot of fun. There's a lot of people listening to you, and I'm sure they can identify with you because you've been on every year at Dayton. I don't know how many. We've been to Dayton 7-8 years now, so I mean you've been on every year with us. You're on at Huntsville all the time, and each time you come on at Huntsville, I always ask you where the hat is, as if I didn't know. And but I do it.
It's a Dayton shtick.
You know, I do it just to prove a point, and probably a little bit just to aggravate you some. I don't know.
But it's good. It's a tradition. I wore it one year because people kept complaining that they couldn't find me in the crowd because I was just wearing a red ball cap with my call letters on it. And then it was a one-shot deal, and then I brought it back the next year, and people kept saying, where's the hat? And so I decided to put it on again, and then it became a tradition ever since.
All right, we'll be looking forward to seeing that hat in a couple weeks up there. Hopefully we'll have good weather, and it'll be a great hamvention. Thanks a lot, Joe, for being on the show tonight. We'll have you back again sometime soon.
Yes, and Ron mentioned in the chat room, I did get a new hat. I have a red ball cap that I also wear. It's got the Huskers logo in the middle with the big N. So I have the K0 and then N and then EB, K0NEB on there.
All right, well, very good. 73. We'll see you later. All right. Well, I think that was a nice clip. I enjoyed the music. Let's see. What are we going to do here? We're going to be in Dayton in 2 weeks. We've got a couple of announcements here. Everybody be sure and tune in to W5KUB.com on Wednesday, May the 13th. That's when we start our 500-mile drive to Dayton, Ohio. 8 o'clock in the morning, Central Time. You'll get to watch us drive that live. And if we should happen to get pulled over like we did one year, you might even get to see that. We're going to be live for 5 days during that event. We've got a lot of prizes for the viewers out there, probably close to about $10,000 in prizes that will be given out. So all you got to do is be in the chat room. If we draw your name, then the prize is yours. Now, someone asked earlier in the chat room, what's the difference between yellow and green? The little yellow and green person beside your name. Green means you're registered. Now, to be eligible for prizes during our prize events, you need to be registered. And that way, we have your email address and we know how to get in touch with you. The reason we're requiring that is we've had winners several years ago that were not registered and we could not find them to give them a prize. And guys, some of these prizes are, $800 or $1,000 each. So if you want to see the prizes, click under the chat room. There's a link there called prizes that you can click on and see the prizes. Also be sure and join our Facebook group. Join us on Twitter, W5KUB. Also join QSO Radio on Twitter. Just a quick update. I announced it last week. Astronaut Doug Wheelock, who was going to be our co-host at Dayton again this year, is going to be unable to make it. Talked to Doug last week. His father died, and Doug has been away from work for about a month. And even though he's a colonel in the Army, he still only gets 30 days leave, and he's he's used up all his leave. So prayers go out to Doug and his family. But Doug said he will be with us probably next year and maybe at another Ham Fest. Next week, again, you're going to hear about the earthquake and all the communications going on in the ham radio operations with the earthquake situation in Nepal. Let's see. Again, if you're listening to us on shortwave, go to W5KUB.com and you'll be able to see the video and join us. Kathy, you want to send out a Hangout link? Okay, very good. Kathy just sent out a Hangout link in a little while. In a few minutes, we'll have that part of the Roundtable part of the show where anyone can click on that link, and if you have a camera and a Google Plus account, you will be able to join us live on the show here. Your video and audio will be on the show with up to 10 other guests. So be sure and check in if you can. And at the end of the show, everybody don't run away. It's going to take us 2 or 3 minutes, but we will be back and you'll get to see all the people that joined the show at the end. It's kind of like the end of the show where everybody comes up on the stage. So, it's time now for our picture segment. Please send us any pictures of your station. And for your shortwave listeners, send us a picture of you listening to the program there in your radio. And drop us a little note. Be sure to include your location, your type of equipment, your call if you're a ham. And we'll try to show your pictures on the next webcast. You can email me at tom@w5kub.com. That's tom@w5kub.com. So let's jump into the photos real quick. This is kind of toward the end of the show, but we got some interesting photos here. Let's see who we've got here. Well, here's the first picture here. This is from Joe. He was just on the show, K0NEB. This is a picture of his station. I'm not, looks like an ICOM radio. I don't know the model number there. Nice setup. And here's another picture Joe sent us from last week. Look at there. He's listening. He's listening on 5085 on shortwave, and he was listening again tonight. So that's from Joe over in Nebraska. And then let's move on down to Mike, KB3IUL, I believe. So this is KB3IUL. I had to make a quick adjustment. Here's his station. This is Mike's station. It's a Flex, what's that, a Flex 5000, I believe. Nice radio. Someday maybe I'll get me a Flex radio. Kathy, do you hear that? Someday I'll get me a Flex 5000 radio, okay? And here's one from Theodore. Theodore is, let me look here. Theodore, N3 OWM. And then we move on to, here's a shot from Tom Nolan, W3EX. He's got a nice looking station there. I see some Collins gear. Oh, nice. I like the way he's got it lit up in the curved operating position there. Vince, N2 AIE, sent us 3 pictures of his shack and workbench. It kind of looks like my workbench at times. It looks like he's very active in, on some projects there. It's hard to keep that bench clean, but you know when it's clean, you're not really doing anything. So this is cool. There's another shot of his bench number 3 there, and then there's his one of his additional workspaces there. Let's see what's next here. Okay, we sent out the link. I think we've already made our announcements. Ted, any last comments? How do you think it went tonight?
I think it went really well. The only thing I'll have to say, and we'll apologize to the listeners, is the levels have just been crazy, and there's times and it just like blasts you out of the room, and other times it's distorted and low, and that's I once again I apologize for that, because I know it's rough to listen through a radio program that's got all that up and down stuff going. We've got to get get a handle on it here, you know.
Yeah, we really do, and I'm trying to watch that here.
But as far as the guests are concerned and all the things they had to say and talk about, I thought it was an excellent presentation tonight.
All right, well, very good, and we're going to move on now, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to log into the Roundtable Hangout at the end here and meet some of the guys that want to get on here with us. So, guys, don't run away. Just stick around a while, and this is the informal part. We're just going to be informal. It might last 10 minutes. It might last 30. So, just hang in there, and I tell you what.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and bow out with the radio side of it, and folks can go to W5KUB.com and log on with the video, because there's not going to be anything to see here.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't have video on shortwave. So 73, Tom, good talking to you. Look forward to getting with you next week.
Okay, thanks very much, Ted, and 73, and we'll see you next week.
All righty.
All right. Guys, it will take me just a moment here to get our next guest on, but in the meantime, I've got some little clips here we'll run. So stand by. We'll be back.
Hello, this is Valerie Hatzfeld, NV9L. You know, there's nothing worse than not being able to go to your favorite ham fest until W5KUB. They have live streaming, interviews, and tons of prizes. Just make sure you're logged into the chat room so you can win.
Greetings from Auckland, New Zealand. I'm Grant, 01GSM. As part of the international community who watch W5KUB.com, I'd like to thank Tom and his crew for a job well done, especially promoting ham radio, not just in America, but throughout the world.
Greetings from Albert Lee, Minnesota. I'm Larry, WD0AKX, and I watch W5KUB.com, and have been for many years. I would like to thank Tom and his crew for doing all the wonderful work they do to promote ham radio worldwide.
Hi, all out there in Radio Land. This is W0MSE, Mike Crow, from Hiawatha, Kansas, on the W5KUB video streaming from Dayton, Ohio, at the Ham Fest. Have a good day. 73s.
Hi, my name is Wolf. Call sign is Delta Charlie 9, Foxtrot Oscar. And during the winter time, I don't stay in Germany. I like to go to Kenya. But even here I like to watch the videos of W5KUB. Thanks a lot for them. 7-3.
Hi, this is Lou, N8KXM, reminding you that Tom, W5KUB, provides excellent live streaming video from the Dayton Hamvention. All you have to do is log in to W5KUB.com, enter the chat room, and you're on. You can watch Hamvention live from the comfort of your home or wherever you might be. So remember, W5KUB.com and enjoy Hamvention. 2014, so 73 from Lou, N8KXM.
Hello, I'm Bharati Prasad, Victor Uniform 2, Radio Bravo India. Please visit W5KUB.com. 73. Namaste from India.
Hi, I'm Warren, VA3UG from Windsor, Ontario, Canada, and you're watching the live broadcast on W5KUB.com.
G'day from VK6RO in the city of Perth, about 12,000 miles southwest of New York City. I enjoy following Tom in his travels and live broadcasts on W5KUB.com. Thank you for your efforts, and we'll see you all again.
Okay, that was some of the people that made little short videos for us. We got a few on Hangout here. Let me see if I can bring them in here. All I got to do is figure out which button to click on. Just real quick, guys, I'll show you a right view of the studio. There's our left view right there. And then, of course, for all you guys who want to see from above, we got the above cam on here. And there's Kathy over. Wave, Kathy. All right. So let me see if I can get the roundtable going here now. There's a few people in here. Now that doesn't help. I'm getting close. There we go. There we go. There's old Glenn Popel, KG. No.
You never get that right, do you?
K something 5 GP. What are you, Glenn?
KW5GP.
KW5GP. Glenn Popel. Glenn's the author of the recently published book by the ARRL called Arduino for Ham Radio. And yeah, I can hear. You know, Glenn. When I grew up and had my call letters, nobody had crazy call letters like AG4 and KW5 and all that stuff. We just had simple call letters back 50 years ago.
Oh, I know. I had WN4FTX and then got WA4FTX, and I had to get rid of it because somebody brought up a very valid point, which is if I'm in a pile-up, I'm still going to be sending my call when the guy goes back to somebody else.
Well, that's why you need the biggest, most powerful station they make, right? If you got a bad call like that.
Now, I don't think I've ever worked more than 100 watts. I'm just not a power guy.
Hey, let's see who all we got in the room tonight. I see. Hey, Dan, how you doing tonight, Dan? Do I hear Dan?
Doing just fine. Doing just fine. Just got back in here. Was copying the show on shortwave.
Okay.
On my drive to the house here, and found it pretty good.
All right. So you got a shortwave radio in your car?
I got HF in my car.
You know, back when I grew up, I mean, well, I don't know. It's nice that I don't think about that much, but all the HF rigs now, they're general coverage receivers, so that's pretty cool that you can listen in the truck here.
Yep.
And let's see, then we got Benny on. Hey, Benny, where are you located? Your mic is muted. Benny's mic is muted. There we go. He's going to unmute it.
I'm in Fern Park, Florida, about 8 miles north of Orlando.
Okay, near Orlando, W4QED. Now that call sounds familiar, man. Where have I seen that before?
Pardon, sir?
I don't know, but I've seen you somewhere before, maybe in Facebook or in the chat room or something. Yeah. I've seen it there. And let's see, we got old Joe. Joe made it back in there. Joe, the kit builder. Joe, let's see, there he is. And Joe, we enjoyed your segment tonight. And we'll have you on. We'll talk about some more kits later, okay?
Thank you, Tom. I'm sure after Dayton I'll have lots more kits to show. And throughout the year I'll be glad to be on here from time to time and show some of the neat kits. Like I said, there's some surprises out there, like the $49 SDR and the $12 component tester that tells me anything. I think that's probably one of the neatest marvels of kits, and I'm pretty sure that it's based on the Arduino, but I'll have to take a look. But when you're talking for $12 to build a component tester that you don't care which way it's hooked up, it tells you which wire's hooked to which lead, and it shows you which is the plus side of the diode and everything. It's just amazing. And like I said, for $12, you can't go wrong.
Well, look, hey, speaking of Arduino there, I know you're going to be in Dayton, and Glenn Popel right there is going to be up there. I'll have to hook you guys up. There's a lot going on with Arduino, you know. Hey, let me look through the chat room here a minute. K9 ID Ron was talking about field day was easier back when you had some idea what the call signs were, you know, like only 1x2s and 1x3s, 2x3s. So, that was the good old days. And, I can remember back, I don't know, when did it happen, maybe in the 70s or something, all these weird calls started coming out. I don't know if that's because the FCC was running out of call letters and they had to jump into those others, or if someone just went crazy out in Washington.
Somebody going crazy out in Washington, that sounds like normalcy.
Yeah.
Well, it may be, man. It may be. W1DGL, he said he was 13 years old in 1968. Let's see, in 1966, no, I'm really old, man. In 1964, I was 16, and that's when I got my license. 1964, got my novice license, held my novice and the tech at the same time. You could do that back then. I could work 6 meters as a WA5, and I worked CW on a novice band as a WN5, and of course I upgraded after that. Hey, 16 years old, 1964, we had to drive to the FCC to take our test. They only came 4 times a year to Memphis, Tennessee, and here I am, 16 years old, living over in Arkansas. I never drove to Memphis in my life. I drove to Memphis, went downtown to the post office, went into this post office room, and the lady looked like a drill sergeant, man. She was yelling at people to sit down and shut up, you know, and she was giving that code test, and people were telling her that they couldn't copy it, that it was echoing, and she was telling them to shut up. But you know what? I passed my test that day.
Yeah, I think going to the FCC office was probably one of the most terrifying things I've ever done.
I don't remember it being scared. It was just a new experience for me. I've never really, you know, I mean, the town I grew up in was 1,000 people, no stoplights, you know. I'm not even sure we had many stop signs. And here I was. I drove to Memphis for that test by myself. That shows you how much I wanted my ham license.
I had to do mine down in Miami, so it was a little bit different there.
Yeah.
I still remember taking my first phone down in Chicago.
Yeah, you know, I took my first phone in same place in Memphis. I guess the government used that same building for many, many years, man.
I got mine when I was 13 or 14 in 67, so I guess I was 14.
67, 14, yeah.
Yeah, the FCC actually came to the Center of Science and Industry where we were taking the class. It was in Columbus, Ohio, so they had a station there.
Yeah, here Ron's talking about the big federal building downtown Chicago. Did any of you guys take your test down in Chicago?
Oh yeah. Well, I took my first phone down in Chicago.
Yeah, that's where I think. Ron was talking about the federal building there.
That was something down in that federal building in Chicago. Man, talk about guys that were ready to scare the socks right out of you. You know.
Yeah.
Well, we're not trying to intimidate you. Yeah, you're sitting right over my shoulder and watching every answer that I put down. You know.
Well, I tell you, that was probably one of the best things I did to get my ham license. You know, it moved me forward in my electronics career, and I learned a lot, and I advanced a lot in different jobs and in school, and here I am retired now, man. I got all that behind me now. Joe K0NEB, well, he's on here. Joe, you should have jumped in. You took your test in Kansas City, huh? Was that Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri?
Missouri. That was the third-class phone test for broadcasting, and then, but my amateur tests were taken in Omaha.
Okay, all right, good. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Ron took his General Advanced Extra and his first phone in Chicago. Second phone 2 years earlier, he went to St. Louis. So, how many guys on Hangout here are going to Dayton? I'm going. I think, Dan, you're going. And Glenn's going. Joe's going. How about... who we got down there? I forget who we got on the end down here. That's Benny. Benny, you going? Oh, you're muted, Benny. Your mic's muted.
Okay, I'm not going.
Okay.
I went there 17 years straight when I lived in Ohio, but the last 30 years I've been down in Florida.
Oh, wow. Well, we've been going for 34 years. I can't believe I hadn't missed a year yet. It's bound to happen sometime, you know. I mean... But 17 years is a pretty good stretch, too, for you there. And it's probably it's a long ways for people. Like Joe, they fly in. Now, Joe, you've driven a few times from Omaha, haven't you?
Yes, I have. From Lincoln, it takes about, well, my very first time in 1975, the speed limit was only 55, and they were strict about it. So it took me 19 hours the first time. In 2009, it took me maybe about 13 to 14 hours.
Yeah, well, it takes us about 10 hours to drive from Memphis.
Yeah, it was not bad. Actually, driving is not as bad, but when you drive yourself and don't have another driver with you, it can be kind of interesting.
Oh yeah. Now, that was in wasn't that in a hybrid car?
Yes, it was. In fact, I was able to drive all the way from Lincoln to Urbana, Illinois, about 520 miles before I put a little over 10.5 gallons of gas in the car. And then that tank got me to Dayton and then back to Peoria, where I put another tank of gas in it.
Now that hybrid, though, it's got a lot of electronics in it. I mean, didn't it speed up whenever you keyed your mic up or something?
Well, actually, I tried putting an ICOM 706 in it, and the problem we had with the 706 was on certain bands, like 15 meters, even with 3 watts, it would turn on the ABS on the freeway. Not something you want to do. The other thing was there's so much noise that comes from the hybrid system, the inverters and the controllers, that the noise, the best I could cut it down to with filters was about an S7 to S9. They tell me that the newer Priuses are a little better about it, but I haven't gotten a new one yet. We'll have to see.
So is that causing you any problems trying to work HF in that Prius?
Yeah, I do not operate HF. I strictly operate 6 meters, 2 meters, and 440. I have no trouble at all.
Man, I think I would call a manufacturer and say, I can't work my ham radio in here. You're going to have to do something.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem, but hopefully the newer ones have taken care of that.
Oh.
This one is due to be replaced. It is just under 250,000 miles, and it's a little over 6 years old.
Yeah, well, you know, I know you, like you said, you only put, 10 gallons of gas in or something, and you have those batteries, but, you know, isn't that kind of smoke and mirrors? I mean, someday you're going to have to replace those batteries. I mean, what will it cost to replace all those batteries in that car?
I'm not worried because the car will be dead before the batteries are. They use nickel metal hydride cells, and they only charge them up to 60% and only discharge them to 40%. So that's why they last so long. I've got a friend that has a 2002 version of that car, a first generation Prius, and he's still on his original batteries. So generally the car will wear out long before the battery does. It's pretty rare that you have a battery issue.
Well, I was wondering, you know, like
I've had to replace is the 12-volt battery, which is a small one that's in the rear corner of the trunk. And the good thing about it is that it only is about a 2.5-foot piece of wire that goes from that to my 2-meter radio, which is, well, my VHF UHF, which is the Yaesu FT8900, which sits in the trunk and just has a wire that goes up in front for the control head and the speaker. And so I only have about 2.5 feet of wire from that to the battery, which is right in the trunk. So that has an advantage. And that is separate from the 270-volt battery, which is the drive battery.
Okay, well, let's see. I was playing around with some different inputs here. Well, it's funny on all these different video inputs how you can get so many different aspect ratios every time different people come on. I'm trying to figure out, you know, how better to manage that stuff. Let's see. I need to find my camera. Left, right. That one's a little better right there. Oh, well, I think the show's pretty good tonight. We had thought about at the last minute, last night late, shifting over and doing the show on the earthquake efforts, ham radio efforts, and I talked to Bharathi this morning, VU2RBI, and she talked to the people down in Nepal, and they feel like they'll be more ready for next Tuesday. So. Next Tuesday, we hope to have boots on the ground on our show from Nepal. So I think that'll be pretty cool. Now, I know they're getting out text and emails and things somewhat. We're not sure about the internet connection there. We may not be able to get it right at the site. You know, of course, video or Skype would take a lot more bandwidth. But we will have people on from the National Institute of Amateur Radio. I think that's kind of like the government agency down there that controls things, and we will be able to talk to some of the boots on the ground down there, and also some of them here in the U.S. that are helping with that disaster relief effort. And then, you know, hey, that's next week, and then that's May 5th. Boy, then the 13th is our next show, but I don't know what we're going to do on our next show that Tuesday night, 2 weeks from tonight. I want to have the live show on. I don't want to miss a week, but that's the night we pack up to head for Dayton the next morning. So all this stuff right here has to get torn down for the webcast. It's got to be put in a truck. It's going to be packed away for our broadcast in Dayton. And also, we've got to get all the equipment working, all the cameras in the truck, our rear view camera, our front camera, our hood camera, our inside camera. You know, we got to have all that stuff working. So, like I said, you know, when the cops pull us over, you guys can be our witness that we were not speeding.
Well, it's like I said, I'll just follow behind you. You get pulled over, I'll get Kathy and the gear on up to date while you figure out how you're going to get bail.
Well, now we leave on Wednesday morning. Well, when are you leaving?
Yeah, I'm leaving Wednesday morning. I'm doing a forum for the 4 Days in May group on Thursday.
Yeah, you're welcome to follow up there if you want to. I hope to get out of here by about 8 o'clock myself, because it always takes us a while to get up here.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much my target, and I think last year that's when Michael KK4IOH left also.
Okay, so we used to go up there every year. We would take about 6 or 8 cars. We would really have a caravan going up. Then it got down to about 2 cars in our group, and then recently, the last few years, it's gotten down just to my truck. Although we do have one ham in Memphis that follows us up there, so I don't know. Maybe we'll have 2 or 3 people in convoy this year. We thought about putting a camera in the following car and link it with an RF link back to us in the webcast, and that way that would be a cool camera shot, wouldn't it? You know, it flips on and you see the back of us driving down the road there. You know, I just don't have a lot of time, but that would be pretty easy to do. And if the car was less than say 100 feet behind us, I think we could pull it off pretty easy. You know.
Oh yeah.
Use a couple mesh routers.
A couple what?
Mesh net routers.
Well, we've got all kinds of linking stuff we could use, but hey, 100 feet, I could run a cable between the 2 cars.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's legal.
Yeah, get some of that Army field wire. That stuff is strong. It's got like 3 or 4 steel wires in each side. That stuff is really strong. You can almost pull a car with it. As long as we'd keep just a little bit of sag on that field wire between the 2 cars, I think we'd have it made. And can you imagine us passing somebody and cutting in front, and then the tail car stay behind? It's kind of like we just kind of wrap that thing around the car in the middle, you know.
What's the email address to send photos to?
Just send them to Tom at W5KUB.com. Or if Benny, if you're a member of our Facebook group, I don't know. I'm not sure if you're a member of our W5KUB group, but if you are, just post them on there if you want to. Just say, hey, I'm Benny W4QED. Here's my shack, and hope to see it on the next show. And I'll just put them off the Facebook group if you want to put them there.
Okay.
Oh, let's see. James KK4RWF says, when we get pulled over, not if. Well, we did get pulled over that one time, and but it's been about, I don't know, it's probably been 7 years ago, and we got stopped, and we thought it was going to be bad. We were doing 89 in a 70 right north of Nashville, and we were sweating it, and I think people in the chat room were taking up a collection to bail us out because I knew we were going to get put under the jail. But hey, things worked out. The cop almost got run over. Luckily, they didn't. They jumped in a car to chase another guy down and told us to stay. They said, I'll be back. You stay here. And I said, yes, sir. But they never came back, and we called the police on the phone, and they said, they called her on the radio and said, you're free to go. So we lucked out of that ticket, that's for sure.
Yeah, all I remember is last year getting stuck in that construction.
Near what? Between Louisville and Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Oh man, that was bad. I think that's what got us in so late. I was trying to think. We left probably by 8 or 9 o'clock at the latest, but we got in really late. And it was at construction. We got stopped through there it added at least 2 hours, maybe more.
Yeah, I remember when I left, Michael Knight was stopping for breakfast, and so we were out of range, and then I was at the head of the line just about to get through the construction, and he had gotten at the tail end, and we were able to work, 10 miles apart. So it was a mess. Of course, then we hit Cincinnati and rush hour and everything else, and that was just not fun. And the rain.
Oh, Jill's talking about, hey, Joe, there's a Jeff Dunham skit where he's arguing with myself. It's about driving a Prius. I don't know if you've seen that before.
Oh, that's a hilarious skit.
I haven't seen it, but I can imagine it would be very funny, I'm reading the Chattanooga, 6 hours. They said we're on the wrong side of Tennessee. Man, we're down on the left side of Tennessee, all the way you can go. I'm just looking through the chat room here, see what's going on. Jill says KD8QGA says they're Dayton bound May 13th. I don't know if they're driving or not. 90 minutes. I think Jill meant. Well, I don't know what she meant there. I'm just looking at the chat room.
$90 to get to Dayton. I wish.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now this must be part. This must be part of the show. Now that's a powder blue Prius. I don't know, Jill. I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, that's part of his show. I don't remember the exact skit, but yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, the trip to Dayton isn't that bad. It's the trip home that just takes forever.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, we got so much going on in the truck with the webcast and everything. It passes fairly good. You know, we have a pretty good time in here. I can see if you're just sitting there not talking or you're by yourself, it could get real boring, and it is a long drive for sure.
Well, we'll be on 5.2 all the way down. That's where we usually stick. Just open the squelch up a little bit, enough to hear the noise, and see how many people we can catch on 5.2.
Well, I'll be there. I've got 10 meters in the car now. Going to be looking to pick me up an all-band rig while I'm there.
Yeah, 73 is Stephen.
This is a bad year. I'm going to Dayton and I have money.
You know,
I
don't. I hardly ever buy anything there. A few years I bought a few things. There'll be years I will not spend 25 cents. I'll come back and not spend a single thing. And of course, with the webcast, we're working the whole time, and I don't even have time to go look around. Usually I don't even see what's there. So
that's okay. They make your money on concessions.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and I tell you what, that's pretty lousy taste and stuff too. I mean, you know, oh man, I tell you, Doug Wheelock, you know, the astronaut Doug was with us again last year, and I said, Doug, you ready to get something to eat? And of course, we didn't want to leave, so we went into the concessionaire, and I think he bought a barbecue, or I bought him a barbecue or something, and I bought a hot dog or something. Man, it tasted really bad. I'm thinking, oh man, I hope this astronaut doesn't get sick and doesn't ever want to come back.
That concession is pretty awful.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing about the trip where we got stopped, my buddy riding with me, he needed to go to the bathroom, and he kept wanting to go up in the woods there by the road, and I'll say it quietly. He wanted to go up in the woods and pee. I'll say it that way people won't hear me too much. Anyway, so he kept wanting to go up, and I said, no, man, you cannot go up here. If the cop comes back and they see you walking out of the woods, they're going to think we stashed something up there. They're going to bring the dogs out here. They're going to search this car, tear it all to pieces, and man, I'll tell you, there wasn't an inch spare room in that car. That thing was packed. The trunk was packed. The back seat was piled full. I mean, there was stuff in the engine compartment. I can just see them bringing the dogs out there and just tearing that thing apart. And like, okay, what do you put up there in the woods? What do you put up there in the woods? Well, I'll have to be honest with you, officer. I put some urine up here. That probably wouldn't have gone over very good. VE4JRG Jack. Thanks, Jack. We'll see you hopefully next weekend. Oh, let's see. James said he tried that in Middle Tennessee once. I guess speeding cost me $500. Cost him $500 and 48 hours in jail. Hey, James, what did you do, man? That wasn't the fine for what we were doing, was it? 48 hours in jail and $500. Let me see what he did. Maybe he'll
missed
chime
the
here.
part about discussing how to get out of a ticket.
So you missed the part how we got out of it?
No, about how Jill got out of a ticket.
Oh, how Jill. Okay. I see Kurt in there, WA2JSG. Kurt will be driving to Memphis after Kurt's up in New Jersey. He's coming down to Dayton, and then I think Sunday Kurt will leave Dayton. He'll drive down to Memphis. He has a daughter and granddaughters here in Memphis. He always comes down here after the Dayton hamvention. So, hey, 2 500-mile drives for him. Dayton's about halfway, so I would hate to think about that 1,000 miles the other way.
I used to drive from Lakeland, Florida up to Wisconsin here. It took 24 hours, and I do it nonstop.
I made a 24-hour trip one time. We drove from Memphis to Key West, Florida. I think it was exactly, it was 1,000 miles or something like that. It took 24 hours. We left, we timed it so we would leave. We drove all night. That way we wouldn't have to have a hotel. You know, we were going to save the $50, whatever a hotel was back then. So we drove all night. Let me tell you, when we got to the end, we got there about 8 o'clock in the morning. We were so dead tired and almost sick at our stomachs. We needed a hotel room bad, but we were there too early to check in. If we'd checked in, they would have charged us for the night before. So we haven't driven back down all the way to. We fly now, you know.
Yeah, 24 hours is a long drive.
It is.
Yes,
it is. Well, there were several of us in there, and you know, a couple took turns, and hey, coming back, let me tell you, my buddies were driving, and he, you know, coming through the mountains over there, and he was swerving, about to go to sleep. It was nighttime, and I told him, I said, look, man, you're letting me out of this truck. I said, you know, you get to Nashville or wherever, you stop in the truck. I'm getting out. I'm gonna take a flight home. I'm not riding with you guys. If you keep driving, I'm not gonna ride with you anymore. I mean, that's how bad it is after 24 hours, man.
Oh, when I used to do that, we'd leave right at daybreak, and we'd make the trek, and it would get to be about sunset about the time we went through Chicago, heading up, and that usually was enough to push me to go the rest of the way. But let me tell you, you know, I was dog tired when I got to the end of that trip.
Yeah. Oh man. So Dan, how long does it take you to get down to Dayton? We got a 10-hour drive. What's your drive?
It's about 10 hours.
How many?
About 10 hours.
10?
About 10 hours. Yeah.
Man, I didn't know you. I thought you were a lot closer.
No, I'm 3/4 of the way up the state of Wisconsin.
Okay.
I'm 200 miles before I hit the Wisconsin border.
Okay. Well, I guess nobody else is going to join us here tonight, but it was cool to have you guys on here. I think I'll probably.
I'm going to go over to the other side. We'll catch you later, Tom.
Yeah, okay. We'll see. We might try to check over there if anybody's over there, and I'm going to try to get this video out, maybe edit it tonight and have it online tomorrow. So 73 to everybody, and hey, thanks for coming on the Hangout. Appreciate it.
Good night. 73.
All right, good night.
Catch you next week.
All right, well.